It was much to do about nothing, and it's the cost of being Utah in a 24/7 sports news cycle, and it's bullcrap. Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps, also available on YouTube. Subscribe, follow, and join the shows. Thanks very much to the everydayers that are out there, and thank you for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, free agency starts today. We'll touch on that. The young bull, Collin Sexton, the energy, my elevator buddy, the endless juice that is Collin Sexton, traded for very, very little. Why? But let's start with the rookies arriving on schedule as expected without any problems, despite the much to do by ESPN. Total bullcrap. Total bullcrap. I'm kind of sour on this one. And here's why. First of all, it was much to do about nothing. It was literally a Jay Billis bullcrap missed a press conference that didn't exist comment. Jonathan Giovanni talking about Walter Clayton coming to Salt Lake on an airplane and Ace Bailey not, which wasn't accurate or wasn't the timing. This is how this has been done for the last few years. Because the Jazz have Summer League and their own Summer League, you don't have your player come in for a press conference, leave, and then meet back in Vegas or meet back for training camp. Because we have Summer League, they come in this weekend, they have their dinner like they did on Saturday night or on Sunday night, and they do their presser. The presser was a day earlier this year than it was last year. And now we have Summer League, so Scott Morrison will lead the team through its Summer League training camp starting today. And then we'll have games Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday next week. Get your tickets. It'll be super fun. We literally have video of Rich Paul talking to the Phoenix Suns owner saying he'll alter the draft so that Malowich can get to 10 and get him. Why is there not a story about Malowich not wanting to play in Toronto, or Malowich not wanting to play in Brooklyn, or Malowich not wanting to play in New Orleans, all of which would have been viable places for him to be drafted? Malowich at 7 to New Orleans was completely reasonable. To 8 to Brooklyn makes a hell of a lot of sense considering they drafted 4 playmakers. Everyone thought he was going 9 to Toronto. And instead, we literally have video of Rich Paul, the agent of Malowich, talking to Matt Ishbia saying, is he your first choice? Good, you're our first choice too. I'll arrange it. Now, there's a few things here. This is why when there were murmurs and reports that the Jazz hadn't talked to Ace Bailey, exactly, that's the 100% right way for the Jazz to play it. The worst thing you can do in life is ask someone's opinion on something and then not take it. If you ask someone's opinion, you better be willing to take it. So if the Jazz call Ace Bailey on the Tuesday before the draft, first off, they tip their hand that they're interested in Ace Bailey. And second of all, they go and suddenly Ace Bailey's camp could at that point suddenly say, yeah, wait, we don't want to come. If they wanted to, they could. And now you're defying them. But if you don't talk to them and you don't communicate, and you've met with him, and you do all your evaluation, and he's your best player, you draft him. And that's exactly what the Jazz did, and that's exactly the right thing to do. And Ace Bailey showed up exactly when he was supposed to. And Ace Bailey was delightful on the press conference yesterday and seemed perfectly excited. And this is going to be such a silly side note on the backside of his career. His career is now going to happen irrelevant of anything that's gone on in the last 4 days, except for ESPN needed a 24 to 36 hour news cycle because they had nothing else. It's just absurd. It's the cost of being Utah. And it sucks. They're not doing it to Brooklyn. They're not doing it to Toronto. They're not doing it to New Orleans. They're doing it to good old Utah. At some point, we just got to win enough. It's going to be a long road to that this goes away. Because as I said with DJ and PK the other day, Oklahoma City sucks. It's truly the least appealing city I've ever been to. It has no scenery. It has no culture. It has no art. It has no history. It has nothing unique to it. It has a scandalous suicide case of a major business person who owned part of the Thunder who may or may not have driven his car into a concrete wall with documents in it. That's literally like the biggest story because they're price fixing oil prices to create the economy, natural gas prices. Literally that's what that city has, except for the fact that the team's good. They just won a title and no one's going to make fun of them for a while. No one's going to dismiss Oklahoma City for a while. Ryan Smith is doing a hell of a job of getting out and being out there with Pat McAfee and everywhere else and trying to change the image of Utah and sell it. And hopefully, we continue. And the fact of the matter is that when state legislators aren't involved, most players enjoy it. But we are literally just, unfortunately, the punching bag for the 24/7 news cycle last week with no basis or with minor basis that got expanded to create a story. Well, there was the basis to do this factually other places all over the place. And it's freaking annoying. But it's on us now. Right? It's on us. Okay, here's the thing. Thought the kids were great. Ace is everything he's supposed to be. He's delightful. He's energetic. He's naive. He's super young. Super young. Like he just looks like a baby. It used to be that I related to Walker, Kessler, and Keyonte George because they're age of my kids. Now these guys are younger than my kids, except for Walt. Walt Clayton is the exact same age as my son. Like almost exactly. He seemed confident. Loved the question about you're going to lose more. He's like, well, I don't plan on doing that. The kid's never lost. He won the Florida State title. He went to Iona. They won a little bit. He went to Florida. He won national championship. And I thought John was appropriate. You're the second round draft pick. There's 2 first round draft picks. You're getting asked questions because people are polite. You got the BYU back last game against BYU, which got asked nicely. And he was appropriate. Like it would have been bad if he stole the stage that day. They were all very short, very concise, it wasn't Walker putting on a comedy show. I'm not sure Walker we don't know because Walker was drafted by Minnesota. So they were great. And now they play. And all the other noise goes away. And can Ace Bailey, Summer League's not the setting for this, but can Ace Bailey learn how to have better shot selection? Can Ace Bailey play with teammates? I chuckled when Ace Bailey talked about as good as passing was because it seemed like he was allergic to it in college. Can Ace Bailey use his incredible athleticism? What strength can he gain between now and October? He'll shoot 40% next year. That's fine. That's what rookies do. Walt Clayton is advanced above the game, like he's understood it. He's older. Can he get that shot off? Is that range still there? Is that off the bounce shot still just as good? Does it speed him up or not? Now we get to find out. We get to go on the floor. And the floor has been open to a bunch of these kids as the Jazz make their first move. The young bull traded to Charlotte for what? Why? Can we get more for the young bull? Next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by our good friends over at Murdoch Chevy. It's a good time of year, summer, taking the trucks out, going on family excursions, getting back into the back of the Uintas with your Chevy truck. Gosh, nothing could be better. You couldn't imagine it better. The Murdoch Chevy taking you to places, whether it's climbing up a hill up in Jackson and getting up to some great lake with your Chevy Silverado truck. And now the Silverado EV, as well as the Equinox EV, the Blazer EV, and the Volt has been there the whole time for them. The great lineup of cars as well with the SUVs, the Tahoe and the Suburban, the Trailblazer, the Blazer, the Traverse, the Equinox, and the Trax. And as I mentioned, there's the Silverado and the Colorado trucks. It's all at Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross, also in Logan. If you want the no regrets experience that is Murdoch, email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that we can set you up with your VIP experience at Murdoch Chevy. Today's show is also brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel, the official sports book of Locked On. FanDuel, get into the action this summer with all the fun, whether it's a WNBA game, a baseball under lights, golf on the green, high stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? FanDuel lets you get into the game while the game's going on or beforehand to spice up the action. They have their favorite matchups. Wimbledon tennis you can get into. Leaf Tulane loves to do that. App keeps it fresh with new daily promotions, fun ways to bet. Easy to use, fast payouts, and makes the regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether it's placing same-game parlays or watching the bet ride in the ninth, FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the action. So, new customers get for just $5. You get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com, $5 bet and $150 bonus bets if you win your first bet. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. You're awesome. Thanks. Locked On NBA is going to keep going all offseason. The free agency starts today. LeBron opts in. And when everybody thought he was opting out, what is he trying to do? It's got the league abuzz right now with that. All right, the Jazz traded Collin Sexton yesterday. At least I've seen two things. Okay, there are reports of it. The Hornets say it's official, and I have not seen it across my, oh yes, it is official. Okay, 7:44 last night, I came across the Jazz have officially traded Collin Sexton and a future second-round pick. So the first thing that I think jumps out to me is the Jazz had to give up a future second-round pick with Collin Sexton. That is a real sign of where Sexton's value on the market was. A lot of people have been asking, like, can we get first-round pick? Clearly not. And Yusuf Nurkic has bounced around and is not a particularly highly sought-after piece of a puzzle. And it's not even as though Sexton at $18.9 million as a free agent at the end of the year that Charlotte was taking on extra money. The Jazz actually took on more money, 19.3. So this first part of this should be really eye-opening. That when teams in the league look at Collin Sexton and Yusuf Nurkic, I promise you if I had put out a poll question yesterday before the trade to all the Jazz fans and said, who has higher value on the market, Collin Sexton or Yusuf Nurkic, our fan base, including me, would have said, 95% of us would have said Collin Sexton has more value than Yusuf Nurkic. Evidently not. Evidently, the Jazz, while taking a little bit more money, had to put a second-round draft pick into the deal to get Yusuf Nurkic for Collin Sexton. And let me tell you what, if there was a better deal out there, they would have done it. The truth is, the Jazz acquired Collin Sexton, free agency offseason 3 years ago, This is the 5th trade cycle the Jazz have been with Collin Sexton, where, let's just be honest, he was available. He was available in the first trade deadline after the Donovan trade. Everybody was. He was available that offseason. He was available in the trade deadline. He was available, maybe his 4th. Maybe the 5th. If they could have gotten, doesn't matter, if they could have gotten a first-round draft pick or something of value for Collin Sexton along the way, they would have done it. This was actually the 6th. We had 3 years of Collin. He wasn't very tradable the first year coming off the knee injury. But for whatever reason, despite averaging 18 points a game and shooting 40% from 3 and having the relentless energy and zest and ability to put the ball in the basket and all the things that I think are great about Collin Sexton. Lacking of defense, has a tendency to torpedo some possessions, not always executing quite the way you want. There's a little bit of yin and a yang with Collin. The league does not value him. I mean, there's no larger statement. And there have been, if you've been following the show, if you're an everydayer, there have been 4 or 5 trades that have taken place over the last 2 or 3 years where I've come on the show and been like, Collin Sexton could have fit that spot, and they didn't take him. Where the other team decided they would rather have, whatever the trade was, there are about 4 of them, where the other team decided they would rather have that player. Even take the Lonzo Ball trade the other day, where Lonzo Ball gets moved, and Lonzo Ball's contract, I believe, is $10 million. Collins is 18, but Lonzo Ball, so for Cleveland, was more appealing than bringing back the young bull. Now, 18 million is different than 10 million, but it's still worth noting. Lonzo, and that's just for Isaac Okoro. The same, in fairness, is probably true for Jordan Clarkson, who the Jazz have had about 8 trade cycles now where they would probably have been willing to move him for the right price and haven't done it. I mean, and I don't know that the Jazz are calling, but understand that you can look at the landscape. I'm not making a controversial statement here. You can look at the landscape of a team, the market, where the team is, and say, oh, they would, for the right price, they would move him. It's not like they don't like him that they don't have to move him, or they have to move him. But for the right price, they would have. And they've never gotten the right price. And the same is clearly true for John Collins each of the last 2 years, though John was super good last year. So what I do think happened here is, unlike the last few trade cycles where Isaiah Collier was able to get enough time last year with Collin Sexton on the roster, and Keyonte George was able to get enough time the year before with Collin Sexton on the roster. It wasn't a perfect fit, but you're still able to get enough time. We had suddenly gotten to the point where, for the Jazz to move forward, Collin Sexton was actually going to block minutes. Collin's going to get 30 minutes on this roster. So his 30 was now going to block Collier, block Walt Clayton, block Bryce Sensabaugh, block Keyonte George. We'll add a 5th or 6th guard here at some point with our free agency. We'll talk about it in the next segment. It won't be someone who demands 30 minutes a night. The other thing that's very clear about this trade, and I've felt this the entire way, I've said this a lot, so everydayers, stick with me. I could not find a script by which the Jazz make moves and get themselves in the top 12 or 10 of the NBA. And if we can't do that, then we certainly don't want to make a move to put ourselves in the top 20 and lose our draft pick. If we're going to advance, it's got to be into the top 12 of the NBA. And I couldn't find a move where that was possible. We didn't have the pieces to trade to get a top 12 player, and I don't think, or top player or players that get us into the top 12 of teams in the NBA. And I don't think that I don't think those players were out there. And so this move is clearly we're going to play to win every night. We're going to be able to instill hope because hopefully Keyonte and Isaiah and Walt Clayton and Ace Bailey and Taylor Hendricks healthy come together, and Walker Kessler, and they see a vision, Lowry, of where they can go and what they can put together in the future. And that gives them hope. It might not be hope for April 15th of 2026, but it's hope that, oh, we're getting there. We're getting better as a group. We got a chance. But the likelihood is we're still keeping that draft pick drafting 1 through 8 next year. This trade shows that. And the next moves probably will too. Let's get to those next as free agency starts today. Locked on NBA will be covering all the free agency. Matt Moore, Hayes, Doug Branson with that great show. Also, Game Night will kind of be going through all the transactions every night, as well as Game Night is going to stay live and current. So 2 editions of Locked on NBA every day. All right, free agency is here. What the Jazz have in free agency is they're not under the cap. Really, the only team under the cap is Brooklyn. Detroit can do a little something. The Jazz basically have about $8 million mid-level exception and some other things to play with. And if you look at the way the roster lays out right now, with your point guards are Collier and Clayton. Your shooting guards are George and Sensabaugh. Let's end the Keyonte point guard game, and let's see if he can play shooting guard. Your threes, I think, are Lowry, Ace, and Cody. And we just do not know what Ace or Cody are capable of right now. Your 4 is John Collins with Hendricks, and we really don't know what Hendricks is capable of. And your centers are Kessler, Nurkic, and then Filipowski is a 4-5. I really think at this point, Filipowski probably should be thought of as a 4. So the first question comes to where does Jordan Clarkson and John Collins fit in after trading Collin Sexton? So trying to move John Collins, who has $26.5 million of salary, may be difficult. Well, I'm certain it's going to be difficult. I also am not sure, until you know that Taylor Hendricks is healthy, until you know that Cody Williams has progressed to an ability where he can play, because really at the end of last year, that was hard to watch. And really until Ace Bailey shows that he's ready to play. If you trade or move John, you could have a real gap. The problem is that if Taylor suddenly is ready for 25 minutes a night, and Cody's ready for 15, and Ace is ready for 15, and then John's blocking the route. But right now, I don't know that Cody Williams is ready to play. I don't know that Ace Bailey's ready to play. I don't know that Taylor Hendricks is ready to play. So if I move John Collins, I could end up with Kyle Filipowski as a starting 4 next year. And Lowry is my 3. That could be beyond rough. Like it's one thing to go young. It's another thing you got to be viable. We got to stay viable. John Collins. So we're bending a little, right? There's a really tough decision there. They know the answer. They have to know where Taylor is physically and what he's capable. Taylor still has to learn the game. I really like Taylor's body, as all those things, but I didn't think he had a very good understanding of the game. Maybe he has a better one from sitting out a year. I do kind of believe in the redshirt year, by the way. Actually, I think if we could redshirt Ace Bailey, it'd be the best thing for him. I know everybody says you need minutes. It's actually go look at the guys that have gotten hurt who've sat out for an entire year in their first year. It's great. Let them work on their body, watch the game, calm down. They'll be better for it. They're all terrible their first year. DeAndre Ainge just got bought out in Portland. That feels like there's conversation with Jordan Clarkson of like, what do you want? Because you're our fifth guard right now, where we are. You probably don't want that. Do you want us to buy you out? The only problem is if Jordan gets bought out, I honestly have no idea who's signing him. His game, where it is right now, I'm not sure it matches on a really good team. And frankly, through 8 trade cycles, no really good team has been willing to make a move for Jordan Clarkson. He's awesome. He's a good veteran. He's a good dude. He's fine in the locker room. He's totally solid. There's all good things about it. The uniqueness of his game, where he needs to have the ball in his hands and play with a fairly high usage on a good team where somebody else is already doing that, is very hard to mix in. Right? Like if you're signing Jordan, the assumption is that whoever's possessions he's getting, Jordan has to be better than. But for the last 2 years, Jordan's one of the least efficient players in the league. So it's unlikely that Jordan's better than that player, which is why a good team doesn't want to acquire him. So it's one thing if you want to buy out Jordan, that's fine if Jordan wants to get bought out. But Jordan has to have a place to go. Or else he's not going to want to get bought out because that's the end of his career. So there's got to be some conversation with Jordan about like, what do we want to do here? He's a great dude. And so while it's probably not where he hoped his career would be at 33, he may be the veteran leader in the role of like a Patty Mills, Fima Hyluk, or Drew Eubanks next year, not the starting shooting guard. And who kind of comes in when Collins, Clayton, George, or Sensabaugh are just struggling so badly that you have to bail them out. Filipowski is probably a 4. And right now, John Collins is probably blocking his minutes if Taylor Hendricks is ready. But if Taylor Hendricks isn't ready, then he just plays the 4 as John's backup. So we'll see on that. Otherwise, I think you'll see the Jazz make signings similar to the Svi Mihailovic, Drew Eubanks, Patty Mills of last year. It actually worked pretty well. Justin Zanuck did a nice job on that. Patty Mills was like a great veteran. Drew Eubanks was a great veteran. And they both got second-round draft picks out of them. It was a pretty good transaction, actually, on the fringes. There's one name out there that I would be interested in whether Austin Ainge likes from his back, which is Zaire Williams. He went to Stanford. He struggled. He wasn't that good at Stanford. He was top 10 pick by Memphis. He struggled. Brooklyn just didn't pick up an option on him to give themselves some more flexibility. If that's someone the Jazz liked, it would make them even more crowded, but it's another wing. He's very similar to Cody Williams. Good athlete. It might be worth taking a run at him. Otherwise, the guys you're going to see moved are Al Horford, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith. None of them do it for me. They all want to be on teams that do a lot, play a lot. Most of them get the ball a lot. Al Horford would be wonderful because he's simply one of the great guys in the NBA, but we're not at the place where Al Horford wants to come to. So I would suspect that we sign the Patty Mills, Drew Eubanks, Svi Mihailovic types who are just pros, get it that it's a gift to make $2 million on the end of an NBA roster. We use our $8 million around that. And then we end up as of right now, we have 13 players. I would suspect we sign 3 of them. One of our 13 kind of moves on. And I don't know what happens with Johnny Juzang, Oscar Tshiebwe, and there's Kenyon Martin Jr. But Kenyon Martin Jr., is right on the edge of this. He plays tough. He's physical. Jaden Springer, they're both interesting, but they want those minutes. They want Walt Clayton's minutes, and they're not going to be pleased if they don't get them. That's like they want those minutes. They're not at a stage where they're like, oh, it's cool, I'm making $2 million to kind of do this deal here. Same thing with KJ Martin. KJ Martin's going to want to, he's going to want to play. Now, he might be perfect because, again, KJ Martin might be the one where if you do move John Collins and you add KJ Martin, he's certainly not John Collins, but he can play minutes. He's a viable, established NBA player and gives you that security. The unknown on Ace Bailey, Cody Williams, and Taylor Hendricks does make the next move by Austin Ainge much more difficult than people are talking about. All right, that's where we sit Should be fun to watch. See all the other moves. James Harden signs a 2-year, $81 million deal. Julius Randle signs a 3-year, $100 million deal. So 33 a year. Deals are a little smaller. We're not seeing full maxes. Second apron's having its impact. It's going to be fun to watch. There's going to be, I think most of the big fireworks have taken place unless LeBron's really up to something crazy. But it will be interesting to watch the league play out here in the next few days. Summer League starts Monday. Get your tickets. They're available at utahjazz.com. Look forward to seeing you out there. This has been Locked On Jazz. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA. Plus, check out Locked On NBA, The Daily Show, each and every day.